Good morning, Carolina Village residents. Thank you for joining me today for another session of our Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and if you are joining for the first time today, congratulations. Awesome job for trying something new. And those of you that are joining me for the 10th time, the 30th time, the 50th time, also awesome, and kudos to you for continuing this practice and doing something so awesome for your mind, body, and spirit. So for today's class, you'll notice my setup with my yoga mat. If you have one, it is not necessary for doing this class, but I highly recommend it if you are working on hardwood flooring, tile, linoleum, basically anything other than carpet. You just may want that extra padding, and really mostly for the chair so that you're not having to worry about it sliding around on the floor. So let's talk about the chair for a second. Preferably a chair without arms. That way you won't be limited with your movement. We will be doing a lot of turning sideways in the chair for today's practice. So if you do have a chair with arms, you'll just have to work at a bit of an angle, but you should still be able to manage something close to what we're doing. I do have yoga blocks. Again, that's just a really fun yoga toy option, but not necessary to have for today's practice. But you may want to invest in a pair. You know, even when we reopen our classes and our gyms and all of that, I'll still imagine I'll be doing this virtual class maybe, forever. So it would definitely be a good investment. Also, don't forget, you can rent out equipment like this very chair. Well, not the one I'm using, but one exactly like it. Yoga mat, blocks. You could rent this whole setup if you want to. So just don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything, okay? So for today's class, other than setup, make sure you are comfortable. I recommend going without shoes and socks, but if your doctor or healthcare provider or your own body says otherwise, then you can totally do this with shoes on. And for today's class, we're going to be really focusing on finding a sense of ease and peace in the body, in the mind, and in the spirit. So with that, we will be doing a lot of hip opening, chest opening, just a lot of stretching focused movements that will get you hopefully just feeling more at ease in your body and not so tight and closed off and feeling like you can't move the way that you should. So I think that's all I need to say before we start. So I think my number one rule, which I haven't reminded you of in a long time, is to listen to your body. That's why we begin with centering and breath work. Well, that's one of the reasons. Another reason is it gets us into a great, just relaxed and alert at the same time, cool duality. It gets us into that state. And it's also wonderful for the lungs. Okay, so let's get started. Now we are going to begin with a pranayama or breathing technique called Samavriti, which translates to equal ratio, but some people call this square breathing. Basically, we're trying to match the length of and depth and strength and focus of the inhale to the exhale. And beyond that, if you can, we're also trying to work on holding or retaining the breath between inhale and between exhale. So it's called square breathing because if you think of tracing a square, you'll do that with each breath that you take. So your inhale draws one line of that square, your holding draws the top, Your exhale draws the other side, and your holding after the exhale completes that square. So we're trying to inhale, exhale, and retain equal counts. And it's typically a 4-count breathing exercise. So I'll guide you through it. I recommend trying to stay, tall in your chair, but relaxed. So I'm going to relax my feet out in front of me. Let my knees open out just a little bit so I'm not holding with my inner thighs or holding tension in the legs. I'm scooted up to the back of the chair, but trying to remain very upright. So don't allow yourself to fold forward. That really closes the breath and doesn't allow you to get the full benefit and potential of your breathing. And so just try to keep that chest open, arms relaxed, maybe just resting in the lap or by your sides. Go ahead once you have situated yourself and allow your eyes to close. And you may notice you automatically start to take a deep breath, but try not to alter your breathing too much yet. So first, just taking a little bit of time to observe, to check in, to see what's going on with the inner workings of your breath. Some people can get so good at this that they can even tell which nostril is dominant in their breathing. You may notice if you have any restriction or congestion while you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose. You may notice whether the inhale or the exhale is a little more powerful, one versus the other. Is a little longer, perhaps, one versus the other. Also, try to observe any movement that your breath brings to your body. Hopefully, you feel movement in the rib cage, in the chest, collarbones. Maybe even in the belly. And once you feel that you've checked in, made some observations, and are fully aware of your body and your breath in space, let's begin our practice of square breathing. And so for this breathing, you will determine how quickly or how slowly you breathe by how fast you count. And so if you know that your breath, you struggle a little bit with deep breathing, you may want to count fairly quickly, like a 1, 2, 3, 4 type count. You may want to count much slower than that. But let's practice. I'm going to set a kind of medium pace in terms of challenge to our first few rounds of this breathing technique. And then from there, I'll stop counting and allow you to go at your pace. So everybody get ready for that first inhale. So we begin with our inhale. So here we go. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and continue, but start counting for yourself. Maybe keeping that pace or moving faster or moving slower. The slower you go, the better it is for your body, as long as you're not forcing or struggling to increase the length of the inhale or exhale or for during the hold. So try to practice this with as much ease and with as little muscle effort as possible. Continuing that 4 count inhale, 4 count hold, 4 count exhale, and 4 count hold. Keep breathing several more rounds at your pace. Now for a little challenge. If you choose, keep breathing, keep counting. Try to listen as I talk to you at the same time if you can. We're going to begin to invite some movement, but I would like to try doing it with maintaining our square breathing. So while you're still practicing this breathing, just slowly start to come to the front of your chair. So try not to let go of that breathing pattern as best you can. Coming to the edge of your seat, bringing those feet out in front of you, knees hip width apart, sitting up tall, trying to lift out from the hips. And the next time you inhale, join me here. You're going to draw the hands towards the thighs, towards the hips, press the belly forward, the chest forward, lift the chin, that 4 count inhale. On your 4 count hold, shift and straighten the back, turn or press that left hand forward, twist to your right on that hold. On the exhale, press that right hand forward, scoop out through the abdomen, tuck the chin, empty out the breath. And on that 4 count hold, twist to the other side. So right hand stays where it is, left hand shifts towards the hip, chest opens. Inhaling, both hands towards the hips, open up and lift. Hold for 4, twisting to the right, left hand moves forward. Exhale for 4, both hands are forward, scooping out, trying to empty that abdomen. Hold for 4 counts, lifting, opening, and twisting to the left with that left hand coming towards the hip. Inhale for 4 counts. Both hands towards the hips, press and lift and open forward. Keep moving with this breathing pattern as best as you can. You may be moving faster or slower than me. And that's a beautiful thing about yoga is there's really no perfect way, no right or wrong way, except we're just trying to stay safe. We're trying to listen to our bodies and move at our internal rhythm. As best as you can, take 2 more cycles here. Finishing with that last inhale. And then on your exhale, just release the breathing, relax to the center. Find that upright, lifted posture. And we'll begin to now move the lower body a little bit. So picking up that left knee, holding underneath with your hand, you can start to circle that knee. So we're just trying to make large movements here. Circling, opening out as much as you can, trying to stay lifted through the front of the body. In the past, I've demonstrated with a hand towel. You can totally have a towel or a strap if that helps. Reverse directions of your circles. But see how best you can support that leg. Trying to maintain that upright posture. And the next time you open that leg out to the side, hold it there, bring that foot down, trying to get a 90-degree angle here with the two legs. And from here, hips are still kind of facing forward, chest is facing forward. Bring that left hand to the thigh. You're actually going to apply pressure down and pushing back, just very minimal, as you shift or hinge forward. So we're just trying to stretch in this inner thigh and groin area and into the hips. Just a gentle opening warm-up stretch here. So don't push yourself too hard or do anything too intense. On an inhale, slowly lifting up, releasing that palm up. Let's inhale that right arm up. And exhale, start to slide that forearm forward. So maybe you're coming that elbow to the thigh. Just shifting the stretch a little bit differently. You're probably still feeling it in the hips. And now we're opening a little bit into the side of the body. And from here, if you'd like to, starting to open into the shoulders and chest, send that right arm back behind you any amount. And then feel free to circle that arm down, all the way down in front of you, coming back to that side reach. And then opening again in the chest. We'll do that one more time. So you're just slowly circling that arm if it feels good to you. Otherwise, you're just holding this side reach. One more time. Slow, steady breathing here at your own pace. And when that arm comes down, go ahead and slowly come up on an inhale. And draw that knee back up and in towards the chest. Go ahead and release that foot down. Let's switch sides. So inhaling to draw that right knee up and into the chest. Starting your slow, steady circles. Just trying to make the movement as big as your hips will allow. So limiting factors here to your movement are going to be tightness in the hips. Possibly strength, so weakness in the legs, weakness in the arms. So don't get too frustrated with yourself. There's a lot potentially working against you in this movement, and that's why we're working on it. So go ahead and reverse directions of your circles when you can. Again, trying to maintain that upright and lifted posture. And the next time you find that leg opening out to the side, hold it there, bring that foot down, adjust your body positioning if you need to. If you can open out a little bit more, great. And we'll start with that forward fold first. So right hand coming to the top of the thigh. And with that hand, you're going to press both down and pushing that leg open and back. So I'm going to do that as I just start to lean forward, getting into that those hips, the groin. So one of the reasons why I like to theme the class around ease, going with the flow, usually that involves the hips, and usually that's where we hold so much tension, physically and emotionally, actually. There have been some really interesting research out there on kind of a second brain, so to speak, in at the base of your pelvis, just because of all of the central nervous system, the nerve plexi in that area, the amount of neurons that you have there is, I guess, I don't want to say equivalent, but almost like a second brain, so to speak. We're thinking there's a lot of control with the gut health in that area and all sorts of stuff. So it's interesting that in our practice of yoga, go ahead and come up on an inhale. We're going to move into that side reach now. So elbow down, come into that side reach. So the practice of yoga, that space corresponds with our second chakra, and the element there is water. It is our seat of emotion. And yeah, it's just interesting, the parallels with science and anatomy in this ancient energetic practice of yoga. We have so many muscles connecting there. Let's start these circles now. So you can circle that arm down, up, and opening through the chest any amount. 2 more times. So we have those inner thigh muscles, the adductors, we have the outer hip muscles, we have all of our external rotator muscles and our glutes on the back of that space. We have our hip flexors on the front. So there's so many muscles that connect or join or cross that space that we're going to work on today. 1 more. We might have done an extra on this side, bonus. And slowly come up when you're ready. Drawing that right knee up and in towards the middle again, placing that foot down. Let's shift back into the shoulders a little bit more with some alternating shoulder circles. So for this one, you're going to lift one shoulder as you press the other down. I'm going to push this shoulder forward as I press the other one back. And then I'm going to lift this one as I lower this one. So it's almost like bicycle pedals in a way. So imagine you're kind of pedaling through the shoulders. Working out the crunchies. We have a lot of muscles that cross the shoulder joints as well, but nothing like the hip joints. They tend to get very tight and muscle bound. All right, we're not going to reverse directions yet. We'll do that in a moment. So if you can, try to remember which direction you were going in just now. Let's straighten out that left leg. Cross the arms over in front. Sit up as tall as you can. Lengthen through the top of that head. We're going to move breath by breath here. Exhaling to tilt back, feeling the abdominals engage. We want to keep that back flat. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to rock forward. Again, keeping the back flat, just shifting forward until you feel a stretch in the back of that leg. Inhale, center. Exhale, rock back. Inhale, center. Exhale, rock forward. Keep moving in this breathing pattern and see where you can let go of tension. So you might even want to close the eyes. There's really no reason that you need them open for this unless you get dizzy when you close the eyes as you're moving. And just see where you're holding on to unnecessary tension, probably in the shoulders, probably in the jaw or the eyebrows. How much can you let go of here and still maintain this movement, yet make it easier and more efficient for the body? Take a few more cycles, inhaling always to come back upright to seated, exhaling to lean back, and exhaling to lean forward. Take one more rock back and one more rock forward. Maybe you're able to go deeper and further than when you started. And once you've made it back to center, if your eyes are still closed, you can go ahead and open them. Release the arms as you draw that foot back in. And we'll start to pedal those shoulders in the opposite direction. So if you were going with me, we were bringing right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. So let's reverse that movement pattern. And you know what? It's okay if you aren't actually reversing, if you're doing the same thing again. Don't even worry about it. It all hopefully feels good. And it's all good for the joints and the muscles. Let that upper body twist a little bit here. So you're kind of twisting those shoulders side to side, feeling that all the way through the thoracic spine, kind of our mid spine where the ribs connect. One more round here. And when you're ready, straighten out that right leg. If you would like to make this, the tilts that we're going to work on, a little more active, maybe engage the arms a little bit more, you can hold those arms out in front of you. However, I would like for you to still focus on the ease of movement here, on a sense of calm in the body by linking the breath with the movement. So if having the arms up distracts you from that or causes you to tighten up too much, don't do it. I'm just going to cross them, get them a little bit out of the way and relaxed so I can focus on my breathing. So start with an inhale, lifting and lengthening up. Exhale, tilting back. Inhale up. And exhale, tilting forward. So we want to keep and maintain that length in the spine the entire time. Exhaling to rock. Inhaling always to come to center. Maybe closing the eyes and really connecting with this movement on a deeper level. When we can close the eyes and focus internally, it can kind of transform that movement. Especially when you bring your focus to what muscles are you feeling stretching, what muscles are you feeling engaging. Even if you don't know what they're called, you can feel where you feel that sensation. Take a few more rounds here. One more tilt back and one more tilt forward. And an inhale brings you up. Exhale to release the arms and draw that foot back in. So now find yourself in seated mountain pose or Tadasana. Knees are hip width apart, ankles are under those knees. We're going to practice again to get into a little more hip opening. We're actually going to widen that stance. So if you have a yoga mat, it's a great little tool for, okay, bring your feet the width of your yoga mat. If you don't have one, I would cue you to come a little more than hip width apart. If you have blocks and you would like to use those, go ahead and grab them. You might want to bring them to the insides of the feet. So in this type of forward fold, we're just making more room for the abdomen and we're getting a little more into hip opening this way. So take a deep inhale to lift those arms. Exhale, bring those arms down to the thighs as you start to fold forward. If you don't have blocks, you may want to bring elbows to the thighs and release down into your forward fold. If you can, hands will come to the ground. Notice the difference here in the sensation of a regular forward fold. And if you have blocks, they're just a nice supportive tool here. So if you can't quite reach the floor, you've got those blocks, or you can even increase the stretch that you're getting in the back, maybe walking those blocks forward, trying to straighten the arms out. Let that head fall heavy. Unless you've been told never to lower your head below your heart, or you have uncontrolled low blood pressure, or vertigo, or anything like that, or if it just doesn't feel good, then stay a little more upright. Keep that head lifted in line with the heart. If you're using blocks and you're in a similar position to me, start to walk those hands back in and under you. Start to draw those elbows back to the thighs. Start to lift and lengthen through the back again, and on an inhale, lift all the way back up to seated. Drop those blocks down if you were carrying them or bringing them with you. And go ahead and just bring those hands back behind you. So fingertips can face backwards, so palms are on the chair. And just press forward through the belly. You can let those knees open out a little bit more, through the ribs, through the chest. Maybe bend those elbows back behind you. Maybe even squeeze them towards each other. Opening here. And slowly releasing that back bend when you're ready. Walking those feet back towards midline. Let's straighten out that right leg. Again, if you have blocks, go ahead and get them into position on either side of those feet. Take a deep inhale. And on your exhale, really trying to hinge at the hip crease. Fold the belly towards the thigh. If you don't have blocks, you may be bringing the forearms down, just depending on how flexible you are. You may be bringing those hands to the shin, but do not bring the hands to the knee joint or above. We don't want to lock that knee out. If you have blocks, they're fantastic here for bringing the hands to for support. So we are holding this hamstring stretch. If you would like to, you can slowly externally rotate the toes. So try to rotate them out, opening them to the side. Slowly coming back to center and then slowly angling the toes in. Just drawing that stretch to slightly different muscles. We actually have 3 hamstring muscles on each leg. So it's a 3-part muscle, muscle group rather. And so we're kind of shifting into all 3 when we shift the hips like this. Or shift, well, it is a shift from the hip, but it feels like you're just moving the foot. But if you can kind of get quiet and trace that movement, feel it in your body, you can tell it's the head of the femur rotating in the hip joint. Crazy stuff. All right, bring those toes back to center. I think you could leave your blocks. Nope, let's bring the blocks with us. So if you are using them, inhale to come up carrying the blocks, or of course, no hands or no blocks. Keep that leg where it is as gracefully as you can. So this is kind of part of the challenge. Opening out to gate pose. So you're shifting your hips over to the left. Again, that foot pretty much stayed where it was. Absolutely use the chair if you need to, or reposition if you need to. We're trying to achieve that 90-degree angle like we did in the beginning of class with our groin stretch. But this time, this leg is straight. It may bring a little more intensity to the stretch or not. It just depends on your body. We're going to go through a sequence here. So we'll move very slowly the first time through, and then we'll cycle through a few more times to really get it in the body, let it all simmer. So sitting up as tall as you can, bring that right hand to the right hip. Let's inhale that left arm up. Exhale, reach over to that right side. Inhale to center. And exhale, release that left hand to the chair now. Right arm lifts up on an inhale. Exhale, reach to the left side. Inhale, center. Exhale, release that arm down and start to shift the hips to a high lunge. So you're rotating that right hip down, pivoting onto the right toes. And this, so I kind of just moved that left foot out and open a little bit more to the side. So those of you with arms on your chair, you'll probably just be a little more sideways in your chair. Try to get that body positioning where the hips are lining up with that front knee. Inhaling that right arm up, high lunge. On an exhale, moving into a twist to that left side. Take a breath here. And on your exhale, release slowly all the way back to gate pose. So pushing the whole sole of that foot down, repositioning the hips. Let's go through that 2 more times. Inhaling that left arm up. Exhale, reach. I know getting into the hips is challenging. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale that right arm up. Exhale, reach. Inhale to center. Exhale, release that arm and pivot into high lunge. Inhale that right arm up. And exhale, twist. Take an inhale here. And exhale, release all the way back to gate. 1 more time. Inhaling that left arm up. Exhale, reach. Inhaling to center. And maybe you're just doing the arm movements here and not much with the legs. Maybe you're not able to move as quickly as me, or you skip one section. Again, this is all about making it your practice and what's accessible to your body, but still a little challenging. So exhaling, shift to high lunge. Inhaling that arm up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen in your twist. And exhale, release. All the way back to the front this time. Drawing that right foot in. Finding seated mountain pose again, so centering in your chair. Just noticing differences between the right and the left hip. It may be pretty extreme. Let's even it out. So again, you might want to grab those blocks. We are opening those feet out wide. And you know what? This time, you may want to open them even wider to a goddess position. So opening those knees out as far as you can. The feet are going to be angling out. Only if you want to try this. It's a pretty juicy forward fold, stretching into really all parts of the hips. So most of you will probably feel it in the inner thighs, the hips here, as well as the backs of the hips. Take an inhale to lift those arms up. Exhale, bring those hands down for support. Kind of that same way that we did with our groin stretch in the beginning. We're pressing back and down with those hands. So it's a little less about stretching the spine here and a little bit more about stretching the hips. So if you prefer a traditional forward fold because you want to stretch the low back more, please switch it up. Go to that. If you have blocks, try to keep those knees, kind of opening back like you're doing with your hands, but you can bring those hands down to your blocks. So don't let those knees collapse forward. You are actually kind of activating a little bit on the back of the hips to keep those legs open. You may not want to move into this forward fold. In fact, I prefer and feel more stretch staying here. And really, again, pressing those hands. Try to relax the shoulders. You might want to press into one side and kind of push that chest. So I'm pressing into my right hand and opening my chest to the left. And then I'm going to do the opposite, press into the left hand, open my chest to the right. Just listen to that body, what feels good. When you've had enough of this stretch, maybe you're in a traditional forward fold right now. Everybody on an inhale, start to lift up. Everybody walk those feet back to a little wider than hip width for our back bend. So it's a little bit different. This is actually called fish pose. Hands come behind you, fingertips facing away from the body. Really pressing into the palms, pressing forward through the hips, through the belly, through the chest, maybe even squeezing and engaging those elbows towards each other behind you. Shining that heart forward and up. Take one more deep breath. And release on an exhale. Slowly coming up to seated. Get those blocks out of the way if you're using them, but don't drop them yet. Let's bring those feet together. Straighten out that left leg. And then bring those blocks back down. So moving into our deep hamstring stretch here with our hip rotation while we're holding that. Let's take a deep inhale. Exhale, hinging right here like you're folding a piece of paper. And we want to fold right here at the hips. Press that belly down towards the thighs. That's the sensation you're going for. You might not make it more than an inch leaning forward, and that's fine as long as you're feeling that stretch all along the back of that leg. Doesn't matter how far you go. If you can, maybe bring the forearm or elbow to that right thigh or hands to your blocks. And where can you let go here? Where can you release tension and allow your body to settle into this stretch more deeply? And if you did so on the other side, start to rotate at the hip. So the toes angle out any amount. Slowly back to center and slowly inward. But if one of those, like maybe the inward feels awesome, but the turning the toes out feels terrible, then skip the toes out, or vice versa, or skip it all together and just hold this hamstring stretch. This is where you take the wheel. And again, just trying to release wherever you can. No need to hold on to tension, especially in the upper body, in the face, and shoulders. One more time if you're opening and closing, one more for each. When you bring those toes back to center, slowly start to lift up when you're ready. Bring those blocks with you if you're using blocks. Set them down out of the way. And get ready to move into gate pose. I'm going to turn my chair just so my back's not facing you throughout this whole sequence. So just hang out for a second with that left leg straight out in front of you. And slowly start to open out to that right side. Rooting that whole left foot down, or as much as you can, trying to lift that inner arch. Reposition in your chair if you need to, possibly scooting more out to the side to free up that left hip. And we'll move very slowly through our first sequence on this side, and then we'll do two more. A little bit faster with the breathing. So inhale that right arm up, left hand to the left hip. Exhale into your side reach. Just feeling where you feel that sensation and that stretch. Take an inhale to lift back up. Exhale, release. Inhale the left arm up. Exhale, side reach to the opposite side. Inhale to center. Exhale as you release this right arm or left arm. Start to shift the hips over, pivot onto those left toes, high lunge. On an inhale, that left arm lifts up. Breathing here. And then on an exhale, moving into your twist. Take a breath or two here. Try to melt those shoulders down. Deep inhale. And exhale, release all the way back to gate pose. Let's move a little bit more with the breathing, breath by breath. Inhaling that right arm up. Exhale, side reach. Inhale, center. Exhale, release. Inhale, left arm. Exhale, side reach. Inhale, center. Exhale, release and pivot to high lunge. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, twist. Inhale in that twist, lengthening. And exhale, releasing to gate. Remember, make this last round your own if you want to move faster, slower, if you want to stay in gate pose, if you want to hold the twist longer, whatever it is, go for it. Follow me though, if you would like. Inhaling that right arm up. Exhale, reach to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, release that right arm. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, side reach to the right. Inhale, center. And exhale, shifting to that high lunge position. Inhaling that arm up, chest open. Exhale, twist. Inhale, breathe. And exhale, release all the way to the front. Very good. Flowing through that vinyasa sequence. Amazing. Let's come up to standing however you would like to. I'm not really feeling coming up through chair for some reason right now. I think it's because we've got all the juicy flowiness in the hips right now. I don't want to squeeze and tighten and get rid of that. So certainly go through chair pose if you would like to. I'm just going to come up to standing. First time in the history of this class, I think. Come around to the back of your chair. And for this brief standing sequence, go ahead and either, if you have a mat like this, you're going to want to move your chair forward. Give yourself wide space here. We're going to do, as you might have guessed, a wide-legged stance. But of course, if you don't have a mat, you don't have to worry about moving your chair. So if you can, you're standing as far away from your chair as possible. So I'm going to bring my fingertips there so that I know I have that support if I need it, if I start to lose my balance. But that way I'm spaced out enough. So I'm going to start by either heel toeing, so kind of opening the heels out, opening the toes out, opening the heels out, opening the toes out. So you can kind of heel toe to a wider stance or open however you can and need to. But you want to try to have those feet wider than shoulder width. Toes are angling out. We're going to move from what some yoga teachers call starfish to goddess. So I'm going to show you what that looks like before you practice. Before you practice. So you can see what it would look like if you're able to use both arms. And then I'm going to demonstrate as I do it without both arms for those of you that need to hold on. You can also do this sequence facing your chair. So if you feel that this is too compromising to your balance, being sideways, then please face your chair. So your chair would be right here in front of you. So you can have both hands, okay? So if you're able to, arms come up and out at a bit of an angle here, star or starfish pose. On an exhale, you're coming into standing goddess pose. So knees are coming out, elbows are coming out. You're dropping those hips straight down, deep stretch here. And then on your inhale, starfish or star. Exhale, goddess. Inhale, star. Now, if you need the support for balance, you're basically going to do that whole sequence, but just with that left hand or whichever hand is facing your chair on your chair. Okay? So let's do this together. What I'm going to cue you to do is you will start together, and then you'll just keep going until you feel that you need to stop. So I want you to just keep breathing, keep moving, let your body decide and tell you when it's had enough. And then you can stop and come back to your feet under you. I'll demonstrate for a certain amount of time, and then if anyone's still with me, we'll be stopping together. All right? So if you can, both arms up and out. Otherwise, that hand can be on the chair, okay? Inhaling here. Exhaling, goddess. So this is a great way to work on balance as well as strengthening and opening. It's hitting it all. Inhaling to straighten and stretch. Exhaling, goddess. Keep going breath by breath. Try to keep those shoulders pressing down. If your balance is really good, you might even try closing your eyes here. Inhaling, star. Exhaling, goddess. Maybe you've already stopped. Maybe you just want to pause to rest and then join back. Maybe you're still going. Listen to your body. Notice what your limiting factor is. Why do you stop? Is it the legs? Is it the arms? Is it all of it? If you were in a yoga class all together, I would have you do this with your eyes closed so that you're not comparing yourself to anyone else. So it's maybe good that you're working through the TV right now or the computer, because you only know what I'm doing and what you're doing. If you're still going, one more. One more, goddess. And then come up on an inhale. And exhale, release those arms. Open the eyes if you had them closed. Start to walk those feet back in together. I still prefer the heel-toe method. Helps me move slowly, mindfully. All right. Awesome work today. Let's go ahead and come back to our seat. So I'm going to just shift my chair. We have one more stretch we're going to do here before our final relaxation. So come on down. Unless I'm almost feeling like we could just relax now. But feel free to do that. If you want to go ahead and get into Shavasana, go for it. Otherwise, join me for our final stretch, which is a seated pigeon. So drawing that right knee into the chest, interlace those fingers under that thigh, and just take a deep inhale, lift and open and draw that knee in. And on your exhale, straighten that leg out, round out through the back, stretch. Inhaling to draw up and in one more time. And this time exhaling to cross that ankle over the thigh. Don't worry if you're not able to do this, but you still want to get a good hip stretch. Cross your ankle over the foot, okay? Either way, wherever your ankle is crossed, let's start to lean forward. Just like we did with our hamstring stretch, we're trying to melt the belly to the thigh. Hands come out and down. If you've got those blocks, maybe you can bring hands to the blocks. Most people can't really hinge forward a whole lot in this. It's a very intense hip stretch, but we're pretty open right now. So kind of wish I had my blocks. Okay, it's worth it. I'm going to go back. Keep holding that stretch. Keep breathing. Just like with any of our deep stretches, are you holding on to tension somewhere that you could be letting go? Oh, yeah. Maybe even visualize sending your breath to those areas that you feel the most sensation. I'm feeling it the most right in here in my hip, as if everything wants to tighten and resist that stretch. And so I'm imagining water flowing with every inhale. Just flowing, opening, receiving, releasing. Try to take 2 more breaths here. Slow, deep, and full inhales and exhales. Slowly on an inhale, start to come up. You can leave those blocks there. We'll want to use them on the other side, although you may notice that one side is less flexible than the other. So you might not be able to use them on both sides. Uncross that ankle when you're ready. Exhale to release that foot. Start to draw that left knee into the chest. Interlace those fingers under that leg. Let's just take one cat and cow. So inhaling, pressing the belly forward, lifting that knee to the chest, opening. And exhaling, pressing through the heel, straightening the leg, letting the weight of that leg scoop out the back and stretch. Inhale, drawing that knee up one more time. And this time, exhale, crossing the ankle over the thigh. Or remember, you can cross ankle over top of the foot. Either way, we will start to lean forward in just a moment. So whether you have the ankle crossed or ankle at ankle or ankle at knee, or really I should say thigh because we're not pressing on the knee. Take an inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, start to hinge forward, belly melting towards the thighs. Just leaning forward until you hit that spot where you feel those muscles all start to clench up and resist that stretch. That's where we're trying to pry in, trying to loosen, trying to allow that space to receive more stretch. And now, as you hold here, where can you release tension? Usually in the face, in the jaw, the tongue, the shoulders. Kind of work your way down until you get to that hip and imagine that water flowing through. Opening and receiving, going with the flow, releasing tension, tightness, frustration. I forgot to mention that sometimes interesting emotions come up when we take these deep stretches into the hips. So you might feel anger, frustration, hysterical laughter. Who knows? I've seen it all. I've experienced a lot of it personally. 3 more breaths. Slowly start to lift up on an inhale. Drawing that knee into the chest one last time. And releasing down. And hopefully you feel pretty ready to relax at this point. So go ahead and transfer yourself over to your couch or your armchair or your bed or the floor. Or if you're staying in the chair, get comfortable. You may want to let those feet just kind of open out. Let those knees open out. Maybe releasing the hands. I like to kind of interlace loosely the fingers and just let like kind of friction Hold them in place. Here, let the eyes close, finding Shavasana, final relaxation. What some argue is the most critical pose of our practice. It is our pose of introspection, of integration of our practice, of allowing everything that we did, felt, breathed, saw, experienced, letting it all sink into every cell. And so begin to feel a sensation of heaviness, as if your body was sinking deep, deep, deep down, sinking into the support of whatever you're sitting or laying or reclining on. Like your body is so heavy and so relaxed that it's fused into the support underneath it. Your body is so heavy and so relaxed that you couldn't even lift a finger or open an eyelid. Release your breathing if you haven't already, allowing it to feel the opposite of your body, so light, so easy and soft that it just glides in and out of the body effortlessly. Begin to notice your body, its weight, the space that it fills. All the points of contact of your body against the support of your chair or whatever you're laying or reclining on. And then focus on the parts of your body that are exposed to the air. Feeling the difference. The heaviness versus the lightness. And how they exist simultaneously. Begin to draw that sense of lightness throughout your body, deepening your breathing. feeling that flow. And beginning to draw that sense of lightness, of flowing water into the fingers and the toes, into the ankles and wrists, into the arms and legs. Maybe stretching out long. And slowly beginning to come to seated. Maybe unless you're reclined, you might want to just stay there, especially if it takes you a while or is a challenge to come up to seated from a reclined position. But wherever you end up, draw the palms together in front of the heart, tapping into that heartbeat. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice of yoga today. For the vitality of your mind, body, and spirit. Namaste. Hopefully you feel pretty amazing, pretty relaxed, pretty at ease and open. And if you have any questions or suggestions, you know you can always reach out to me. I love to hear feedback from you guys of any kind, any and all kinds. Let me know you're watching. And I hope you have a beautiful day and that you join me next time. Bye.